Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and rodents alike, and welcome to the Rat Room. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, which of course it is because it's also the first episode, I don't know where else you would have come from. The way this show works is myself and our lovely guest host.
That's me.
That's you. Great introduction. Yeah. We'll be competing for an absolutely amazing prize. Honestly, I think today's prize is the best prize we here at the Rat Room have ever given out. Today's prize is going to be an already claimed Discord Nitro code. And we do that by awarding each other points. You can give me points, and I can give you points. We can also take away points. And we give these points based on how good our stories are. And the theme of today's stories are going to be injuries. You got any fun injuries to talk about?
Oh, you're letting me go first. Good.
Well, actually, before you start talking about injuries, you should probably, say who you are and stuff. I kind of just jumped right into the intro there. I didn't give you a chance to speak at all.
Okay, well, my name's Spencer.
Hello, Spencer.
Great.
My name is Blockrat, or David. Call me Dave. Don't call me Blockrat. That'd be kind of awkward for this whole podcast.
Okay, David. I got two stories. I got one that's minorly hilarious, and the other one which isn't as hilarious. I think I'll start with telling you about my third concussion.
Third concussion? That's a significant number of... Were the first two not significant enough?
Okay. I'll start from the beginning.
Oh.
So, my very first concussion happened when I was 6. It was a beautiful winter day. We were on the sledding hill. It was snowing a little bit. And I had one of those little circular sleds that were little death traps. And you would spin in circles down the hill.
I think all sleds are death traps, man. That's not a safe activity to push kids down a hill covered in ice.
Exactly. Now, my little young old self got up to the top of the hill, all excited to go down, and I went off supersonic speed. And little did I know that the teenagers had a little sledding ramp that they constructed to go off with their snowboards and get some air. Oh, no. And I didn't notice this. I went off that ramp perfectly, and I flipped upside down and landed straight on my little noggin.
Oh my god.
And I completely blacked out.
Oh my god.
My mother was terrified. She rushed down the hill, and I woke up by the time she got there, and she scolded me for laying down at the bottom of the hill because I might get hit by other sledders.
You wouldn't want to get hurt. That would suck. Wouldn't want you injured here.
Yeah, and the worst part about it, she didn't believe that I was that hurt. She just told me to shake it off. And afterwards, when we got ice cream, I vomited all over the car. And then she thought to herself, maybe there is something wrong.
Maybe.
And then she finally took me to the emergency room, where it turned out I had a concussion.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
my story.
That's eventful. Kind of explains a lot that you were dropped on your head as a child, but wow, that's... I'm glad you're alright. I'm glad you didn't, break your neck and your mom was like, why are you still laying down there at the bottom of the hill?
Just picks me up, starts shaking me. Why is your neck cracking?
Why is your head detached? Pick that up. That's important, man. You need that.
Exactly. Alright, what do you give my story?
Jeez. You know, that's a tough one. I think I'll give you 2 points, just because banger story, and then I'll add on an additional one to pay for your medical bills, because that sounds expensive and not enjoyable at all.
Oh, it wasn't.
Oh, and then also you get a half point for going first. So, congratulations.
Nice. So I got 3.5 points.
3.5 points, yes. I am going to definitely keep track of those.
Okay.
You know, actually, I think mine kind of ties into that pretty well. Because you're saying how your mom didn't quite believe you. My mom believed me, but I didn't realize. So, back when I was also a wee youngin', seems to have, I've gotten a lot safer nowadays. I just stay inside and play video games. I don't do any dangerous, exciting things. I was, you ever been to those, indoor malls that have, play places in them?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I don't know what the point of those is. I think those are intended for parents to just, leave their kids there and then go shopping.
Oh, exactly. They just dump their child off and they go off shopping for 4 hours.
It's the child's pit. Throw your kid in here while you go buy stuff. That's safe.
Yes,
it's been a while since we've been to an indoor mall. Are those still open? With play places and stuff?
No. I remember the play place I used to go to, it was a giant foam castle. And it's not there anymore, and I'm very disappointed. I remember fighting a child in there once, actually.
Did you win?
No.
That's the story of his second concussion. We'll get to that later. Anyway, so it had these... It wasn't foam. It was plastic chips that were compressed together and then painted to build little structures.
Oh.
So there was like not exactly what I would consider top of the line construction, but little like mounds that you could go across and jump off of onto more soft plastic. And there was like some sort of a tower thing in the middle. And little old me was having a blast, climbing up it and then hurtling my tiny, frail body off of it. And on one of these jumps, I climbed up there and I jumped, I reached for the sky, went to, amazing dive, perfect form, landed straight on my arm.
Oh.
Devastating crunch. Honestly, most of this is hearsay. I don't remember it. I was very young. I don't think hearsay is the right word for that, but we're just going to pretend that it is.
Hearsay! Objection!
Objection! It was actually not plastic. It was metal. That's not true.
Metal floor? Oh.
God, can you imagine one of those play places just made out of solid metal?
You just go out there and you see little dents in the floor in the shape of children's faces after they fall.
Child-shaped. It's like when you stick your head in like wet cement and it leaves
exactly.
an imprint, but it's just sheet metal. Oh my god. The implication there that it is also that it's just a layer of sheet metal and then nothing underneath to indent it like that.
Oh, yes.
You walk by, you just hear the solid the sound of one of those like tin drums, like bang.
Exactly. They just mount it on the wall after every 5 years, so you get to see all the kids' terrified faces.
That's how you do modern art back in the good old days. We didn't use any of those modern day computers. We just threw children at sheet metal and then painted it.
Exactly. So what happened after you shattered your arm?
Yeah, so I hurled myself off there, and I was like, ow, that hurt. And my mom was like, you're fine. Kids, they fall off of stuff. And I was like, Mom said I'm fine. I must be fine. We just put all the guilt on my mom here, because obviously she's 100% to blame for me not realizing that I had an injury.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, that I just kind of chilled with whatever mysterious injury I may or may not have had. Went on for a few weeks. We went apple picking like the week later.
Few weeks?
Oh yeah, this was 3 weeks before we went to any medical place.
Oh.
But we ended up going apple picking, and I don't know if you've been apple picking before. It's really fun. I need to go apple picking again. Gotta get a group of people together and just go apple picking with the boys sometime. That'd be fun.
You pick apples out of trees?
Have you never been apple picking before?
I've never been apple picking.
Dude, my family tries to go like something picking every vacation we go on, which not as frequent as it used to be. But yeah, you just go out to an apple orchard and then you get like a wheelbarrow and you can pick apples off the trees and then you buy them at the end. But it's a fun experience. You can like eat them in the field as well.
You have to pay for the ones you eat in the field?
What are they gonna do? I don't know if you're supposed to or not. Everybody does.
I mean, you just go into the field, you just eat all the apples you can, chuck them off to the side, and leave.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's like going there with kids. This is what me and my sister do. It's just eat a few apples. It's an apple orchard. You toss them to the ground, they'll grow again. I mean, it's an apple. What's the worst that's gonna happen to it?
Makes more trees.
Yeah. I'm sure they like factor that into the cost, because it's not like normal apple prices. You're like, it's a price of admission, really. And then you also get a bushel of apples. You get to like pick the size of the bushel you bring in there. It's fun.
That sounds nice. Sounds very nice.
Yeah, we went there with young me with some potential injury, no idea what that could have been. And I was like pulling the wheelbarrow, with my arm like you do. And I was like, man, this kind of hurts. And eventually, I don't know what triggered it. Again, very small boy here. Very few memories of the actual occasion. But we ended up going to the doctor. And the doctor was like, yeah, no, your arm's broken, man.
What?
So I went 3 weeks with a broken arm.
Oh, that could have not been pleasant. That would... 3 weeks?
I don't remember most of it, like, literally happening to me. But, yeah, I definitely made my arm a bit worse during that time.
Oh my goodness, that sounds awful. Now, if I were to have to give you points...
You do, you're contractually obligated. That contract you sign.
Oh yeah, I definitely signed that contract.
Speaking of which, that was also the deed to your future house. So if you could, call me up when you buy a house.
Oh, I certainly will.
And your firstborn child, I also own that now.
You might as well have my wife as well.
Oh, thanks.
No problem. All right, I would give you 1 point for that awesome flip you pulled at the playground.
It was an awesome flip.
I'm going to give you another point for pulling that wheelbarrow, and I'm going to give you 2 points for going 3 weeks with a broken arm.
Ah, thank you. I knew it would pay off, finally, after all of these years. Emily, you know what? I'm going to give you a half a point for being so nice.
So we're tied?
Ooh, the stakes have never been higher.
If I'm going to go in order of my injuries, my next injury would be appendicitis.
Oh, not concussion number 2. All right. Appendicitis. Is that like when you eat a pen or something?
Yes, exactly. Back in the day when I was a wee little Cub Scout, small little Cub Scout, we just finished up a nice little camp out, and me and my brother were folding a tarp. And for some ludicrous reason, I had a baseball bat, and I was swinging at my brother kind of a joking manner. But my older brother, Zach, he did not mess around. He took that baseball bat from me and absolutely took a full-on swing into my gut. A full-on pull-back, whap type deal, fly back 3 feet, land on your butt, and cry for 30 minutes type swing. And, of course, afterwards, he was like, oh my goodness, don't tell Mom, you're fine, don't tell Mom. And I ain't no snitch. When I went inside and told Mom that I was hurt, I didn't tell her how I got hurt. You didn't
mention the fratricide in there. You just left that out?
I just left it out.
All right.
I just told her that my stomach hurts, and she's like, "Oh, okay. Here's some Pepto-Bismol, some Tums. Lay down for a good long while. I hope you're okay." And so I sleep 2 full nights on my couch in writhing pain.
Oh my god!
And my father finally steps in and says, "You know, that boy seems to be in a lot of pain. You should probably take him to the doctor's office." And my mother was like, "Oh, are you sure we got to take him to the doctor's office? I mean, he's had it for 2 days. He might be getting better soon." And my father was like, "No, take him to the doctor's office. It's been persisting for too long. He might have some sort of bowel blockage."
Yeah, like a baseball bat. That will block the bowels real nicely.
It's not like it went down my throat. What? So they take me to the doctor's office. They lay me out on the table, and they're tapping all over my chest and tummy, and I'm like, "Ow! Oh, the pain!" And the doctor was like, "Your child might have appendicitis. Has he experienced any blunt force trauma to his stomach area that might have caused it to rupture?"
A little bit of blunt force trauma.
Have you heard of appendicitis?
I've heard the word, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I have a feeling I know at this point, though.
Basically, there's this little nib on the end of your large intestines.
Oh.
And sometimes when you get hit, or just sometimes naturally, it bursts. And it starts pouring all the contents of your large intestines into your body.
Well, you need those. Well, hey, it's supposed to be in your body. That's where it's supposed to be. That's a good thing.
Not exactly. It's going through your large intestines to get expelled out as feces. And now this is leaking into my body. So they take me from the doctor's office, they take me into the emergency room, and they literally tell me, if you came in by tomorrow, you would have been dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and my mother goes out into tears, and I haven't even told her how it happened yet. Because it's absurdly rare for it to happen in this young of a child.
Yeah, usually fratricide doesn't start till they're a bit older.
Yeah, I didn't even tell the doctors how it happened. They just assumed how it happened. But it turns out I got lucky. It just started to leak. It didn't explode like it normally does.
Normally? Normally in blunt force trauma situations, or normally just like it just does that sometimes?
Normally it does that sometimes. Like sometimes when you push too hard when you go to the bathroom, that's actually the most common place where it happens.
That would suck.
It's
a pretty crappy way to go.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty much my whole experience. I mean, I stayed in the hospital for a week after, and I never told my mother until about 3 years later that how it actually happened, and my brother Zach hit me with a baseball bat.
You're just holding that over his head the whole time like, "Oh, buddy, you better not mess up or I'm going to tell Mom about that time you tried to straight up kill me. One more day and I'd have been dead."
Yeah.
Come on, Zach, you want to share your Halloween candy with me? You know, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone to the hospital that one day, and my death would have been on your hands.
You better give me your chocolate rabbit there, Zachary.
Ooh, I love me some chocolate rabbits.
I love Easter candy.
Dude, Easter candy's great. It's the best part about it is always like unexpected, at least for me. Because like Easter kind of creeps up on you. It's if you go to church a lot, then you kind of feel it coming. But even then, it still kind of like comes out of nowhere. And then just boom, Easter, you get candy.
So what do you give my injury? What do you give?
Well, I'll give your injury nothing. However, I think I'll give you a few points here. I'll give you know what? I take that back. I'll give 1 point to your appendicitis. It's not your point. It's for the appendicitis.
All right, 4 points for me, 4 points for you, and 1 for my appendicitis.
Yeah, and I think I'll throw in 2 for that whole story. That's pretty wild, kind of crappy, kind of I can't think of any more poop jokes. Poopy situation. Is that how people talk?
No.
And then I will also give a point to your brother for the attempted murder.
Awesome.
So we're at 1 point for your appendicitis, 1 point for your brother, and then 2 for you.
Awesome.
And then, you know what? I'm feeling nice. I will give you another 3/4 of a point just for showing up today.
3/4. Oh.
Yeah.
Man, you're so generous.
I try to be.
All right. I am ready for your next wise tale.
Oh, I got a good one. Did you say wise tale or wives' tale?
Wise. I probably said wise wrong. I said wise.
Well, I'm a very wise man. So, speaking of, also, before I tell my story, I'd just like to point out that both of our story, or all 3 of our stories so far, have had the collective theme of our moms not believing that we were injured until the point of us almost dying or getting much worse.
I mean, all of my stories but one have that type of theme.
I feel like there's a common thread here. You might want to talk to your mom about that. It's like
this is just a mother diss track.
Pull up the PowerPoint one day and be like, so, I was hoping to borrow the car this weekend, and before you answer, I just want to show you a few years ago I had appendicitis. Do you remember that, Mom?
Do you remember that? Remember how you didn't want to take me to the doctor? Do you know what I could say to a lawyer?
Dude, you got blackmail for your brother and your mom on these.
Oh, yes. I'll keep in a little
You're set.
document and show it to them when they're 50.
Just like a little manila folder underneath your desk. You pull it out and just scribble a few notes down whenever you get injured.
I hit list it on myself.
You keep a list of your own weaknesses. Appendicitis. Baseball bats. That's highlighted at the top.
Exactly.
Anyway, so I've got another somewhat related thing. I'm going to consider this related because yours was the result of a baseball bat, and mine was the result of a ball, a soccer ball to be exact.
Whoa.
I know, right? The soccer variety. I probably don't strike you as the soccer playing type. I think this is actually the last time I played soccer, and it was like 8 years ago. So.
I'm pretty sure everyone played soccer that many years ago. I remember playing tag soccer or something. I don't know. It was something weird like that.
Oh, with like the little flags?
Yeah!
Jeez, that's a memory.
I did it at like the YMCA.
We did that in like middle school. Yeah, I guess I have played soccer after then. It made soccer so much more fun because I hated soccer, especially after the incident I'm going to tell you about. But I loved like the flag part of it because you like eliminate people if you grab their flag or whatever. And people would always try to get creative with it, like how they put the flag. You had to like tuck the flag partially into your pants, and then if someone pulls your flag, you're out. And so people would get like real crafty with how they did it, like try to tie it around their belt and stuff. They really just kind of put us on the field and were like, go wild.
Go wild.
I got some injuries when playing school sports.
So how did this ball injure you?
Ah, yes. So again, it was a chunk of time ago, so I don't remember all the specifics. I do remember there's this one kid. It's the only time I've ever been anywhere close to bullied. There's this one kid. He's just a jerk. I don't know why. We were friends for like a week at the beginning of school, and then he was just like, you know what? I don't like you anymore. He was not nice. He would like punch me on the bus, the bus to school. That's the only time I've ever been physically bullied. This type of thing you'd see on Disney Channel with like the bad guys, like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up. Anyway, one day he decided to beat me up while playing soccer, sort of. I'm a pretty tall guy, and I've always been pretty tall. I'm 6'6" now. I was not 6'6" then. That would be terrifying. But I was still
6'6". Oh, just that tall of a middle schooler, I'd be concerned.
like an 11 or 12-year-old, just 6 feet tall. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing.
But I was a good like foot above my classmates, tall boy. He decided that the ball was right in front of him. He decided he was going to kick it as hard as he could at me because I was not paying attention. And so he rears back, he kicks the ball with all his might, and it goes about 2 feet right into the side of my kneecap.
Oh.
And boy howdy did that hurt. Like, I heard it crunch and I saw it move, and your kneecap is not supposed to move to the left and right.
Oh my goodness, did you dislocate it?
I don't know what the name of the actual injury was. I believe that's what it was, but it came out of the like socket or whatever it was in, and I could move it left and right. And I know I went to physical therapy. I don't remember how quickly I told people about it, but I was in physical therapy for that for like a year, maybe less.
Oh,
it was moving like for a while though. Like I never went into like a splint or a cast or anything, but I could move it for a good year afterward, even after I got out of PT.
So you just sat there and played with your knee in agonizing pain?
It was kind of cool, dude. It moved.
It's like when you break your arm and the bone pokes out. You're like, oh, that's pretty neat.
I never seen that. It's my bone. But that is my whole story. My mom believed that one because it moved.
Your mom believed that one. Mommy, look, my knee came out.
Look, Mom. It's so cool. I can move it left and right like a joystick. I can play Xbox games on my knee.
Overall, I give that story a solid 2.
Ooh.
It wasn't too lengthy, but it was pretty all right.
That's fair.
I gotta say. I mean, your mother didn't betray you that time.
Yeah, I've kind of broken the theme we had running here, so I guess that's fair. Should give my mom a point for that. I still point. I'm also the host, so I'm gonna give my mom a point for believing me when my kneecap was moving out of its socket.
That works. Well, to stay on topic, I have a basketball-related story that just came to my mind after you talked about balls.
All right, I am a fan of balls. Let's hear it. Don't quote me on that.
Back in my old days, when I was a young little child, my father wanted me to play basketball. I, of course, wasn't the best at catching or throwing balls, but I was really good at dribbling. We had this nice little tiny little game of all our friends in the park. Now, we had some other preschool that we were versing against.
Oh, and preschool? This is preschool age?
Yeah, just right about preschool age. It was before I was taken out and put into homeschool. So I missed my order of events.
Okay.
But first...
Minus 3/4 of a point for going out of canonical order.
Oh, man. Let me tell you everything wrong with this team. First, the lead star of the team was the coach's son.
Oh, that's always a good sign.
Second, the coach told you to always pass the ball to his son.
Come on, man.
He told us to.
All right.
And number 3 is that he was the only one that was really allowed to score said ball. You could be used as an in-between, but you had to pass it back to him.
Oh my god, it sounds like a choreographed thing with like you got the one main character and then everyone else is extras. You just kind of like pass it to him every opportunity you get. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's what your gym grade was based on, right? It's how many times you're able to pass it to his son.
But I was pissed. I was livid. I didn't get to I didn't get to dribble the ball places. I didn't get to shoot the ball into the goal, and I was livid. So one time during the game, I had the ball. I was going for the hoop. It was my shot. The dude was yelling, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. But I didn't want to. I wanted to shoot that ball into that net and make it. And then out of nowhere, I'm dead serious, out of nowhere, the lead player freaking shoves me out of the way, takes the ball from me, shoots, and makes it into the hoop. And I was livid. I was furious. I was slandered, thrown onto the floor, casted aside, and I was pissed.
Oh my gosh.
So after he made his shot, scored it and was doing his little victory. I got up and I nailed that child right in the face. And his nose just started gushing blood all over the court. Just everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
That's not even the part where I got injured.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is definitely an injury story, but you're the one doing the injury.
His father
Oh no!
came over in like some sort of primal rage and absolutely shoved me. Now, at this point,
Preschooler?
he shoved me away from his son to tend with him. But at this point, I was close enough to the concrete walls of this little room, and I just slammed into it. And my arm was in absolute agonizing pain afterward.
Oh my god. I can just imagine that as like a clip from a comedy movie where he like picks you up and he turns into like a rag doll. He just flings you into the wall.
Yeah, but after it happened, the coach realized what he'd done and apologized to me. And my dad came over and made me apologize to his son because I bapped him in the face. And then I just never did soccer again. I really wished it ended with like how my dad got in a fist fight with the coach that beat me up. But that's not how it went. They settled it like normal people.
Ugh. Amateurs doing their normal solutions to problems.
Yeah, but that's my entire story. I didn't get seriously injured. I didn't have to go to the doctor afterwards, but I did nail some child in the face.
It's just such a funny visual of you punching someone in the face and then immediately this man just comes up to you and throws you into the wall.
It wasn't like a throw, it was like a shove, but I was still hurt after it. I mean, I like to imagine it that he absolutely catapulted me into the far-off wall and I left a dent.
Oh, dude, it's the play place all over again. That's the modern art. They just dents in the metal walls. We've gone full circle.
Oh, exactly.
All right, it kind of followed up mine. It was a bit of a shorter one, so I'm gonna give your dad a point for solving that nicely and respectfully, and then I'm also gonna give you 2 10/8 of a point.
2 10/8. Okay.
2 points, and then also 10/8 of a third point.
Oh, 10/8 of a third point. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So now your dad has 1 point, and your appendix has 1, and your brother has. Did I give him 1 or take 1 away?
I think you gave him 1 for committing murder, and then you also gave 1 to your mom.
Oh yeah, and then 1 point to my mom as well, and I wasn't keeping track of our points.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I have no idea.
Now
I'm thinking of it.
That's
okay,
fine.
No,
We know the answer. We're just not going to say it out loud.
Exactly. We got it in our little noggin.
Yeah. We got time for like one more story if you've got a banger to close off with.
Okay. Well, then I'll skip the 2 other concussions, and I'll go straight to my most recent injury.
Hold on. Can you like really quickly summarize these other 2 concussions? I'm never going to forget this if you don't.
Okay. 1 concussion, my second one, I don't remember anything about. I was roller skating, and I fell face first and blacked out and woke up in the hospital. My mom told me I had a concussion. My second concussion, I was on my way to school on my scooter, like most middle schoolers, and my front wheel got caught in a little divot in the sidewalk, and I fell, like, it pivoted. The whole thing caught, and I just went, straight into the cement. Oh. And I had, like, a Looney Tunes type bump on my forehead, and I still have a mark on my face, and it's called my third eyebrow. Whenever I, like, scrunch my face up, there's like another divot in my forehead that looks like another eyebrow. And my brother gave me that nickname, the third eyebrow.
That's kind of funny. That sucks, though. I think the first one is just like, I was roller skating, and then I woke up in the hospital.
Yeah, I didn't really remember much from that time. I barely do. My mother told me afterwards. Now, my hand. This is my most recent injury. It happened in the fall of this year.
Ooh, it's hot off the presses. All right.
Yeah. So, I was working at camp, which was a little campsite where I do work summer, but I was working in the fall trying to get wood cookies cut for a fall camp out called Camp, where it was Boo Camp, and it was Halloween.
Did you just dox yourself? Is that nearby?
Kind of, yes.
Should I bleep the name of that out?
Probably. I should have thought about that.
All right.
Okay, well, I was cutting wood cookies, so little
All
Cub
right.
Scouts could do some branding, and they basically heat up this piece of iron and they shove it onto a little wood cookie, and whatever design they picked would be on that wood cookie.
That's a safe
So
activity to let children do. Yeah. So wood cookie
yeah,
is just like a little circle of wood, right?
yeah, you just
Okay.
it's like a little tree. You'd slice like a quarter of an inch chunk out of it, and that's the little wood cookie. And we call them wood cookies because children like cookies.
They do. I was in scouts as well. I remember we did like carving with wood cookies at one point, and they look cool because it's got the bark on the edges still. It looks fun.
So we had this sliding compound miter saw. It's the one where you grab it from the top and pull it down onto the log.
Right. Right. Okay.
And we had to cut about 400 of these things.
That's quite a few.
And we had two sliding compound miter saws. My dad was off to the side delivering the logs to us. I was on the nice fancy new one that had a laser guiding one. And my mother was on an old janky one that had the protective sleeve broken.
Oh no. All right.
Now I was cutting logs, doing my best. We were about 2 hours into cutting these things, and I was cutting this log, and I thought, I could probably get at least one more wood cookie out of this log.
You probably could. I think that's a risk worth taking.
So I brought it up. I set it down on the saw blade. I put my left hand on it to hold it in place. And I started to bring down the saw, and it was going through it just fine until the saw hit a knot in the wood.
That's not.
All of a
good.
sudden, poof! The whole log literally explodes. And my hand was still applying pressure to that log. And of course, my hand still wanted to move.
Oh no.
So it chucked the log up. My hand still went towards the thing. And my reaction, I moved as fast as I can. But my middle finger got caught in the saw blade. If you look at your own hand, there's the two little notches right down from the top. You have the one right by the little tip of your finger and one there. I had one cut right across the second little notch in your finger, and I had one that went up all the way, rest of the length of my finger. And after this happened, I turned to my mother and I said, "Mother, I did an uh-oh. Like I was a child and I just crapped myself."
Oh my god! After those 3 concussions, any injury, you deviate back to child.
And she looked at me, and I swear to you, I have never ever seen my mother run faster in her life to the front office to get a first aid kit. I have never seen her run as fast as she did then. Now my father went over to apply first aid. So he went into the van and he grabbed 4 McDonald's napkins.
Oh, those are known for their effective absorptionness. That'll be perfect.
That we used to eat lunch on the way there.
Oh
and he gave them to me. I took my hand off.
He just gave them to you. Here's like, here, take this.
Yeah, I stopped applying pressure, and this was the first real look I had at the damage of my hand, and it was atrocious. In fact, I took photos later, but
yeah, don't show me those. I'm good.
I put the napkins on it, and I started applying more pressure. My dad was going back and forth, talking me through it, asking if I was okay, asking what happened and what went down. My mother got back maybe 5 minutes later with the first aid kit, and she was livid. I took my hand off, and she saw McDonald's napkins on there and said, like, "W the TF, why would you grab these?" And
I'm loving it.
She tried to take them off. They wouldn't come off. They were stuck in my wound. They were stuck in my gaping wound on my finger.
Oh my
God. So she said, "F it," and she put real gauze over it. She wrapped it up nice and tight until it stopped bleeding.
On top of the used McDonald's napkins?
Yes, on top of the used
throwing a bit of
McDonald's
infection in there for fun. All right.
And I got into the van with my dad, and my mother stayed at camp to finish cutting the wood cookies.
Oh my god.
So I'm driving with my dad's on the wheel, driving to to the hospital, and we had a nice little heart-to-heart where I basically apologized for what happened. He's like, "No, don't worry about it. It happens to the best of us. You were working for 2 hours and everything in between." And then I talked about, this doesn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. And that was a problem because it should have hurt really, really bad.
Oh no. It's getting worse?
So we got to the hospital finally. I walked in the door with my blood-drenched hands with a bloody ice pack on my cut, and it was the lady at the desk and one other lady in the waiting room. I walk up to the lady at the desk. I start explaining to her my situation, like I cut my hand, and her first response was, "Oh shit."
Hello,
And
I seem to have injured my hand. All right, sign here. Just blood pours out.
yeah, and she started asking me questions and stuff and everything between. And she went into the back to go get a thing ready. And the one lady in the living room, I turned to her and I said hello, and she was like, uh, what happened?" And like, "Oh, I cut my hand on a circular saw." And she got all terrified, like, "Oh, that's." Are you? And she was not making coherent sentences. And like, yeah, I'm fine. So I sat down, and she starts like hyperventilating and everything in between. And she then like all of a sudden she pauses. She takes one good look at my hand, and then just makes a break for the trash can.
Oh no! You just had to add trauma onto whatever other injury this poor lady already had.
And she just buckets into this trash can, just and she just goes white as a ghost. All her blood left her mouth, and then she takes the trash can with her, and she sits back down on the other side of the waiting room, away from me. And then finally they get me into the room. My dad finally walks in after finding a parking spot. They get me into a little room, and they sit me down on this little bench. And someone comes in to undress my wound so they can take a proper look at it. So they get in there, and at first he compliments, "Oh, this is a very nice first aid job you have here." And I'm like, thank you. And then he takes off the little wrappy hat, he takes off the gauze, and he's like, what's this brownish red stuff that you have in here?
Surprise inside.
And I said, "Oh, it's a McDonald's napkin. It was our first aid that we used." And he said, "Oh." So he had to go in there. He had to get some tweezers, some cleaners and stuff. And when they cleaned it out, they didn't sedate me for it. They sat me there on the table, and I was looking at him while he did this. He went in there with some tweezers, pulled the stuff out.
You were looking at the wound?
Yeah, I could see it. They had it right on a little table next to me, and I could see every single thing he was doing. My dad was sat across the room talking to our mother, who was still doing wood cookies and such, and they got all the McDonald's stuff out of it, and then they got out and they called for a surgeon. So I was sitting there, surgeon, so they could actually do the surgery to close my hand back up.
All right. Wow.
So I sat there, and for a good hour, 2 hours, I was just sitting there, just waiting with my hand open. It wasn't bleeding anymore. It finally clotted up and everything. But I just sat there while they waited for the surgeon to come in, because they didn't have a surgeon on hand.
On hand?
Ah! So after a while, my mom finally comes in, and she trades out with my father. She comes in, she trades places with my dad, and she sat there and everything. And then finally, after like 2-ish hours, my mother's livid because I'm sat there with my hand out in bits. And she sat there all livid and pissed, like, "Oh my goodness, where are they? Why aren't they patching up my baby?" And then finally the surgeon comes in, and finally, they give me some local
anesthetic.
Anesthetic, yeah, finally. And he sews
time.
it. Yeah, he sews it all up, and he said from his little inspection, he didn't see that it hit bones or anything like that. But they wanted to take an X-ray and everything in between. And he finally got my hand stitched up. My finger, I couldn't feel my finger because they stabbed it with the anesthetic, and I finally was patched all up. And it looked, like, I don't even have an example. It just looked awful. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the picture of beauty right there.
29 stitches in a single finger.
I don't think I have enough finger to put 29 stitches in. Jeez.
Yeah, it was 29 stitches or 19. they finally got us out. They took the x-ray. We didn't hit bone, thank God, but we had to go to someone afterwards to inspect us, like the movement of my finger, to see if we actually hit a tendon. Now, when a tendon is
those are
cut,
important.
yeah, it's what makes your finger move and everything. Now, when your tendon is cut, it basically retracts back down to basically where your wrist is. If you cut it up there in your finger, it retracts back down to basically where your wrist is and gets lost in the little mess of your hand.
That is a horrible image.
And they have to cut so much of it up to try and get it, find it, and put it back where it belongs. And then you never get the full extent of your tendon back because most of it becomes scar tissue afterwards, and it's just awful. But we get to the physical therapy place, they take off the bandage, and they test out my finger. Luckily, the only thing that was wrong is that pretty much all the nerves in my finger were severed. But none of my tendons...
The only issue here was you've severed every nerve in your finger.
Pretty much every nerve.
I mean, I guess that's not as bad as it could be, but that's pretty gnarly.
That's why I wasn't as in bad pain. Because if I came in there and I was like, and screaming and crap, but I walked into the door and I had a normal conversation. So she wrote down that I was responsive, not in shock or anything, and that's why they didn't sedate me or anything. But
hey, buddy, what's the matter? Oh, not much. Hands bleeding. Really bad. That's a lot of blood, but not much.
Yeah, for over the next 2 months, I couldn't play on my computer. I couldn't hit W for WASD. So I was just out of commission and couldn't do anything.
Minecraft, but I can only walk sideways.
And the only thing I let myself do was play Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch. And now I have a pretty banger island. But after they got my stitches out and they finally got my tests done, my finger works again. And without too bad of movement restrictions. I can press WASD now, so I can play video games again. But
Jeez.
My mother was absolutely terrified throughout the whole event.
So she believed you that time?
Yes, she believed me, especially when she saw blood gushing down my hand.
It's a good motivator.
She doesn't want me to use sliding compound miter saws anymore.
I wonder why.
I know, right?
Wow. That is a banger of a story to end off on. That's pretty bad. Mm. I have no words.
Do you have points?
Give a big hand to you for surviving that.
Man, yeah. A hand, I definitely get it.
Yeah.
So how many points do you bestow upon me?
I think for that one, I'm gonna have to bestow. Well, okay, I'm gonna give the person you made throw up 5 points. Because just pity for her. That's pretty bad. And then I'm also gonna throw 5 points at you because
yes.
That's a pretty gnarly injury, and that just kept getting worse. We started off with I cut my hand, and I was like, all right, wow, that's pretty bad. It can't get worse than this. Then it's like, and then we shoved some McDonald's napkins in there, and then just kept escalating.
The best part. Oh.
Jeez. And then you watched them pull them out. That's gotta be.
Oh yeah, I watched them. I had to ask for one of the little. Actually, tell you the truth, they had us wear a mask the entire time, and mine was absolutely a sawdust spit mess. So the way I got it off is I asked them for a vomit bucket, and then I didn't have to wear my mask anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You have won my respect and an already claimed Discord Nitro code. So that should arrive in your DMs in 8 to 32 business weeks.
Oh, great.
Actually, I'm sorry. No, there's...
Wait, business weeks?
There's slowdowns because of COVID. It'll be 2 to 3 business years. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today. I'm going to go throw up. Have a great night. Please keep your hand away from things and your body away from sports and small children.
Alright, I'll try.
And to you, my lovely viewer friend, thank you so much for watching and stopping by. I don't know if this will be posted anywhere, but wherever it's posted, leave a subscribe and or like. And thanks for watching. Do you have any last final things to say to our viewers? Or viewer? You want to say anything to my teacher, actually? Because she's definitely going to watch this. What do you have to say to my teacher?
Oh, I would recommend to not touch saw blades.
That's a good recommendation. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a good one. Bye bye.